there you can be criminalized for being black in England? Should we have the Euros here? Black people are being stopped every day in the street. They're being stopped in their cars. They're being arrested for being black. And that's the only reason.
I would push back to say that there's a quantitative difference between there is no law which says that you can be jailed for being black, whereas there is a law that says you can be jailed for being gay.
Right.
And so I think there's a qualitative difference.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when the police arrest black people for being black, is that unlawful? So the police are acting unlawfully. When they stop black people in the streets every day and there's no law, are they acting unlawfully?
I would say yes. I would say yes, because that's not within the law of this country.
So which country is worse? Where the authorities act unlawfully by discriminating against people when it's against the law to discriminate against them, or are in Qatar where it's against the law to be gay? And I can tell you, gay people aren't being arrested in Qatar for being gay. Well, first of all, the World Cup comes around once every 4 years. So after this World Cup, they're not going to be thinking about the World Cup for 4 years. They won't be thinking about it for 3 years. Really, in the year leading up to it is when you start thinking about how you play for your club and your form. And of course, as you rightly mentioned, this is probably a bit of a distraction in terms of what they bring us to do, when in reality, we know that the players really, they don't really have much interest in whatever else is going on. They're being thrust into the limelight that, hey, let's support LGBT, let's take a knee, let's talk about human rights issues. But really, throughout their lives, they don't really think about that. They don't think about it until it rears its ugly head, or until a microphone's thrown at them, and then they're being held up as beacons of virtue to then say they're the ones who are carrying it forward, which they don't. This is a societal issue. And of course,
do we ask too much of our footballers then?
We absolutely do, and they have no control over it. Footballers could do nothing about changing people's perceptions. I don't know whether they think it themselves or whether we just absolve ourselves of responsibility to look at society and look at cultures and look at governments and just say, well, the footballers are going to do it, because the footballers can do nothing. The fact that Harry Kane is going to score a goal is not going to change people's perception. The fact that the World Cup is in Qatar is not going to make them change their laws. So therefore, and in fact, if you look at why are we so condescending and supercilious to feel that we can really make a change in terms of their attitude towards LGBT, that's not going to change at all. And we have to stop doing it. If we're going to go there, we have to be respectful of their culture. I don't agree with, obviously, homosexuality being illegal. But if we're going to say this is where the World Cup is, we have to be respectful of their culture, of their laws, of their religion. And when we go there, stop trying to force our way of thinking on them. Now, obviously, that isn't going to work. Nobody's ever forced to change culturally in the history. And if you understand colonialism, you know that that hasn't worked ever. So, of course, we have to enter into dialogue. We can't go there in a fashion and say, we're here to teach you, you're here to learn, particularly from a black perspective. Because I remember 400 years ago, Europeans coming to Africa to civilize us and to teach us and to bring us in line with what they want. And of course, that is not really what they were doing there.